I left Hong Kong to see if I could make 10k a month playing poker in America, and at first, I was unstoppable, crushing every game that I sat in. But then... something changed. And what happened next? I still can't believe it myself. I'm gonna explain, let's jump into the sessions.
Bet it on me, let it ride. Broke white boy, put it all on the line. Lucky me, lit the Sin City on fire. Money on the floor, watch it double 10 times. Bet it on me, let it ride.
Hello, welcome to the first hand of the session. We're playing 5-5 at Hustler and on the first hand, but I win to $25 and we are defending our big blind with Queen Jack offsuit. Flop comes King Jack 3 with 2 clubs. We check to the aggressor who bet $40 into 50. When he chooses his big size, I think his range is over pairs, some decent king eggs, flush draws, and combo draws. But in a hazard pot, we hit a middle pair, we are not going anywhere and we call. Turns a king off club, the front of flush complete and the top card paired. We check to him and he check back. River's a 9 of diamond. The first thing I ask myself here is what is range when he check back the turn? I believe he doesn't have a flush here because when he big bet the flop with his flush draws, he is not going to stop betting on the turn because he can value a lot of hands like my trip kings, my smaller flushes. But I think he would definitely check back hands like aces, queens, pocket tens, and I don't think under pairs are calling my bet here. But if we check, he may find bluffs with ace queen, ace 10, and even if he chooses a bigger size on the river, we may find a pretty interesting line by check raising the river with our hand because he doesn't have a flush when he check back the turn. But anyway, in game I check, he check back, we show our hand and we are good on the first hand. Next hand here, we open the $30 in a hijack with 9s, small blind calls, and we're heads up to a flop of bang, ace 9-7. Look at that cutie pie. Small blind check, in a single ace pot, in position on ace high flop. My strategy is to overbet or check. Our hand here is a very good candidate to overbet because we unblock his ace, and his ace is never folding. I bet 80 into $60 and he calls. Turns another beautiful ace of diamond. He checked to us again. I think it's a perfect scenario to follow up with another big bet. But since this villain has only $500 back, I chose a relatively smaller size to make sure he's sticking with us with an ace. And by the river, he's already pot committed. So I bet $225, but unfortunate for us, he find a fold. After the hand, he told me that he got ace 4, but come on. I don't see any human being folding a top trips on the turn with a pot size bet, so don't fool with me.
It's coaching time.
Tell me what you're thinking with this turn size.
He's kind of shallow. There is like 70% left on the river.
Like when they're shallow, I don't think this is the size we want to go.
An ace is calling any amount.
If he folds like 8-6 suited or like Jack 10 or something that's just like drawing dead, that's horrible. So like if he has an ace at this stack depth, we're getting all the money no matter what. And if you bet small on this turn, even though you overbet the flop at this stack depth, if you just bet like 60 or 70 on the turn, like an ace may just put the money in for you anyway. And if an ace doesn't put the money in for you anyway, who cares? We just jam the river.
I agree, totally agree on this. Big pot alert. After a while, we move to this 5-5-10 table and just look at this beautiful table. I love purple and gold so much because I'm a big fan of Los Angeles Lakers. I hope my boy Luka is having a great time here, but anyway, let's get back to the hand. We opened the $35 on the button with the worst hand in poker, pocket aces. And now big blinds 3-bet to $110. So first, recreational players are massively under 3-bet, especially on the blinds. So that means he has a very strong hand. So I 4-bet to $275. Big blind didn't spend much time announcing all in. We snap call and we're heads up, all in. Flop comes king 10-7, pretty safe for us, and turns an ace. We have this lockdown and the river's a 4 of heart. And big blind fold pocket kings. He hit a set on the flop and we hit a better set on the turn. Shout out to the dealer giving me an ace on the turn and we are happy to scoop in and pot. Moving on to the next hand, we are back to the 5-5 table because the 5-5-10 is broke again, but let's begin. EP opened to $20, low jack calls and we look down at ace king suited in the hijack and we make it to 100. Button cold calls and EP low jack folds, so we are heads up to a flop of king, queen, 4 with 2 spades. I don't think opponent is overstepping this flop, and he's kind of shallow, only $600 behind, so I like to bet myself. I bet 100 into 245 and he calls. Turns are pretty safe, 3 off club. I want king x like king jack and queen x like ace queen to continue here, and I bet $200 into 445. And now button moves all in about $500 effective. Of course we snap it off, and the reverse is a clean 8 of diamond. And button tables the same hand with us, the ace king suited. Oh wow, I don't know why he didn't 4-bet shoving his hand pre-flop, but anyway, we will chop this one up. The sizing that I choose is pretty weird. We may go smaller on the flop to play a 3 straight game, or slightly bigger on the flop. Then we can put all the money in on the turn for a 2 straight game. So next hand here, we open to $25 on the cutoff with queen jack offsuit. Small blind calls, and we're heads up to a flop of 9-8-4 rainbow. Small blind check. In a single raise pot, in position as pre-flop raiser, you know what I'm gonna do. Range bet small. Why? Yeah, because we can incentivize him to raise with their strong hands and call with their weak hands. I bet $25 into $50 and he calls. Turns a king off club. Small blind check to us again. So what is range? I think he can have one pair type hand like 9x, 8x, and with this turn card he may improve to a 2 pair. And also he can have straight draws. I would like to bet small again to cap them. If he has 2 pair like king 9, king 8, he is going to raise. If he didn't raise, we have the green light to barrel on the river. So we bet $40 into $100, and this time small blind fold. Moving on to the next hand, we open to $25 in the low jack with 6-5 suited. Big blind calls, and we're heads up to a flop of queen 10 deuce rainbow. Big blind check. We bet $25 into 50 and big blind calls. Turns a deuce off diamond. Big blind check to us, so we're going to ask the question again. What his range? By calling the flop, he has one pair type hand like queen x, 10x, and occasionally some deuce x. So when the board is paired on the turn, I would like to choose a small size again. Same reason behind, if he doesn't raise on the turn, that means he doesn't have trips, then we can put in a big boy bluff on the river. I bet $40 into $100 and he folds again. On to the next hand, we open to $25 on a button with 9-8 offsuit. Big blind calls, heads up to a flop of jack 5 deuce rainbow. Big blind check. I bet $20 into 50 and he calls. Turns a 5 off diamond. Big blind check to us again. Yeah, small size, small size. I bet $30 into 90. He calls again, which means he doesn't have trips. River's a 6. He checks to us. I don't think this villain is folding his top pair here, so I would like to bet very small. Target and fold misdraws like king queen of diamond, ace-6 like ace-4, so I bet $30 into 150, and interestingly he check raised us to 155. So what is range now? Because he didn't raise a turn, I assume he has no trips, so the only strong hand that he has is 4-3 or pocket 6s. But this villain is a bit aggro. I think he might turn his misdraws into bluffs, attacking my very small size on the river. We've got 9 high, we are not beating anything, so I come up with an idea to 3-bet the river, folding out his better bluffs. And the thing here is, if he has a strong hand, he is calling any size, but if he is bluffing, he will fold to any size, so there is no sense to raise big here. I like to min raise to $300, and he starts talking.
Wow.
You have to call if you have a 5.
But your line is just jacks.
Yeah?
It's,
But you need to call.
if I have just chips, I'll fold. The line is just jacks.
Oh wow. He finally makes the call with 6-5, which is a runner full house, but he actually say he would fold a trips of 5 here. So in this hand, the lesson is occasionally some players may still slow play their strong hands facing a small size on the turn, but I think in general this thing is not gonna change. We just need to make notes on specific opponents when we see their showdowns and adjust accordingly afterwards. So in this hand, the straddles on, EP and hijack call, we ISO to $90 on a cutoff with ace queen offsuit, and straddle 3-bet to $200. EP and hijack fold. Although recreational players are massively under 3-bet, this player has the ability to find raises with king queen, king jack, ace 10, this type of hands. And also he chooses a very small raise size. We have the position post flop, so we are in there. Flop comes king, 8-7 or hearts. He bet $155 into 425. We have the queen of hearts, and I don't think we have any fold equity versus better hands when we raise here. So I like to call. Turn comes a 4 of spade, and now straddles all in about $600 effective. We can do nothing but fold here, and he shows us king jack offsuit. So on the next hand here, button open to $15, small blind calls. I want to talk about this player on the button. He's just opening ATC from the button over and over again. We look down at queen 7 offsuit. It is obviously a trash hand. Calling is not an option, but the small blind just capped himself by calling. And with the dead money inside, I like to do a squeeze here. So I 3-bet to $80, thinking I can take this pot down right away most of the time. But this time, button calls, small blind folds, and we're heads up to a flop of queen 8-6 rainbow. In a 3-bet pot out of position, I'm just checking my range to players that oversteps. We check, and he check back. Turns a king of diamond. Our hand is somewhere between showdown value and thin value, but I don't think he's calling wide if we bet because this is a king. So I check again, he check back. Reverse jack of spade. Now I would like to go for some value targeted hands like jack X, 8X, or pocket 9s. So I bet $60 into 170. He finds the fold eventually. And yes sir, you know what I have now. Moving on to the next hand, EP open to 25 with 3-bet to $75 on the cutoff with ace jack offsuit. I think this 3-bet is too light. He calls and we heads up to a flop of 9-7-3 monotone 3 hearts. EP check. In a 3-bet pot in position, I'm just gonna range bet small. I bet $40 into 155 and he calls. Turns a 10 of club. EB check to us again. We have the ace of heart and I'm going to continue my story here. I bet $180 into 235, targeting him to continue hands like 10x, over pairs like jacks and queens, and ready to give him the max pressure on the river. But surprisingly, he goes all in, putting $670 on the turn. Although we have the ace of heart, I don't think the odds is enough for us to call here, and I fold. And he shows us ace king with the king of heart. Oh my god, nice hand.
It's coaching time.
Let's talk about pre-flop when they open to 5x from early position. First, does this guy have a limping range or not?
No.
Okay, well, like still, like does he split his sizes or is he like always opening to 5x?
Yeah, he has
his
nil on the table, so I don't know.
If someone's opening to 5x from early position, I'm just going to continue pretty tight. First of all, we're not that deep. We're not even 200 big blinds here. And second of all, like he just opened to 5x from early position. I would just muck the ace jack here in the cutoff. Yeah, talk to me about the turn.
Yeah, I would like to keep his queens, jacks in, and then shove the river to fold out those hands.
I don't think we have enough money to fold out those hands.
I thought I missed the stack depth at the time.
If your plan is to fold out jacks and queens, like first of all, like I think we need to have 1,000, 1,200 behind to start this hand. And second of all, like if the plan is to fold anything strong on the river, you can't go this big on the turn because the pot's gonna be 490 or something.
500.
Yeah, we're not even gonna have a pot size bet. Like this guy's not folding jacks or queens or something like that on the river, right? SPR sculpting here, just being aware of like stack depth, important.
I really mess it up. And next hand here, the straddle's on. We open to $35 in early position with ace king offsuit and cut off 3-bet to 105. Actions back to us. Recreational players are under 3-bet, but we got ace king here and he only have $600 left. I don't think there is other option except putting the money in now. We go all in, but his snap folds and shows us 10-9 of diamond. Nice try, brother. Nice try. And in this hand, hijack opened to 20. The very aggressive player on the button 3-bet to $60. We looked down at pocket sevens in the big blind. Normally it's a snap fold, but I've seen a player on the button 3-betting recreational players in position over and over again with a very wide range. So I think our pocket sevens here is ahead of his range, so I put in a 4-bet to 180. My read is correct this time, hijack and button snap fold, and we take this pot down with a pre-flop 4-bet. Ha 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 ha. Huge pot alert. In the last hand of the session, hijack opened to 20, cutoff calls, and we squeezed to $100 on the button with 5-4 suited. Normally, I'll just squeeze linear, but this player, he's opening very wide. I think I can get it through most of the time, but this time, hijack calls and cutoff fold, so we're heads up to a flop of Jack 7-6 with 2 spade. We flop the world. Hijack check. In a 3-bet pot in position, I'm just range betting small. I bet $70 into 225 and he calls. Turns a deuce of club. Hijack check to us again, so what is range? He doesn't have jacks, he doesn't have sevens, he doesn't have pocket 6, he doesn't have 2 pairs because those hands are raising the flop. So he can have jack eggs, some under pairs like pocket 10s, pocket 9s. So I do want those hands to call one more barrel on the turn before I push them off on the river. So I bet $200 into 365 and shit, he goes all in for $1,000 effective. So what is range now? I don't think he has combo draws here because I think this player will raise his combo draws on the flop very frequently. So the value hands I can think of is only pocket deuces. But anyway, we have the best draws here. The odds is pretty close, so we make the call. One time, dealer, one time. Oh no, dealer said not this time. He showed pocket deuces, and we lost this 2.3k pot on the last hand.
It's coaching time.
Don't squeeze this.
Yeah, I know we need to go linear, but what if I think he's opening shit?
Yeah, so the question is like, what is he doing with the shit when you 3-bet?
When I'm 3-betting, he's probably folding.
Do you think this guy ever calls with like a hand like 10-8 suited, ace-9 suited?
Yeah, I think so. He's calling.
Problem is he's opening too wide and he's calling some of those hands. That means he's calling too wide. We don't want to be playing 5 high against a guy who's calling too much pre-flop, because what's going to happen is like he's going to call too much from the hijack. The cutoff is then going to overcall once the hijack calls. A lot of the time, he ended up folding this hand, but then we're going 3 ways to the flop with 5 high. Choose hands that can dominate him if he calls. Even hands like king, queen off, ace, jack off, ace 10 off. Like, just choose like your high cards.
So linear all day when we are squeezing. Hey guys, just finished the session here at Hustler. Today I lost 1.3k in 7.5 hours. To be honest, the session is pretty rough for me. I made few mistakes and made a gambling call on the last hand, which I don't really like. Anyway, Marco will have my total result here. Thank you, Marco. I'm gonna have some rest now. See you guys in the next session. First hand of the session, and this is double board PLO bumper. We have queen 10, 9 deuce, single suited, and the top board is ace king 7, and the bottom is king jack 7. We go check through on the flop and turns a 3 off heart on top board and a 5 off heart on board 2. We have the second nut on top board and an open end on the bottom. Small blind bets pot, we call, and we're heads up to the river, which comes an ace off heart on top board and another ace off club on the bottom. Small blind all in about $200. Although the top board is paired and the flush completes on the bottom board, we are losing to some hands, but it's only $200. We still have a high chance chopping this up. So we call and he tables ace 8, 7, 5. He made the full house on the top board and we have the second board. So we ending up chopping this pot up. So second hand here, we open to $50 under the gun with ace queen offsuit. Button calls and we're heads up to a flop of queen 6, 4 with 2 diamonds. In a single raise pot out of position, I'm just checking my range if I think the board is going to be stabbed in a high frequency. We check and hit check back. turns a 3 off diamond, completing the front door flush. I'll say our hand here is somewhere between showdown value and thin value, so I like to check, and he bet $50 into 105. So what is range here? I think he can have flushes, but also he can have a lot of bluffs because we show weakness by checking to him twice. So I put in a call and rivers a 6 of heart. We check and he check back. We show our hand and we are good.
It's coaching time.
This may be a hand that I could get behind just going bet, bet, bet. This board will be overstabbed like every board, but like when we have ace queen, we don't really love the range that calls us when we check raise here. I'm not particularly worried about this guy having a flush when the diamond rolls off on the turn. And I don't think this turn card gets overstabbed after the flop goes check, check. If it was like a blank, if it was like an offsuit deuce or offsuit 3, okay, we go for the check here and then we go for the check raise on the turn because we just know we have the best hand. And I think our opponent's just going to stab all the time with showdown value, and they're going to stab all the time when they have air after the flop goes check, check. Getting to this turn when the turn's a flushing card, I think this is one of the cards that gets understabbed. And like, first of all, we obviously can't go for a check raise. Our hand's not strong enough. And second of all, I don't think this turn is getting stabbed a lot. So I would just come out and bet pot or like overbet. I don't think a hand like pocket 9s with a diamond or like pocket 8s or pocket 7s, I don't think these hands are ever folding after they check back the flop. I don't think he has a lot of flushes. We don't have to be worried about that. We can go much bigger on this turn. I just think we missed a lot of value in this one.
Yeah, your line is much more beautiful.
Thank you. Beautiful lines. That's what they call me. They call me Mark Beautiful Lines.
Next hand here, cutoff open to $20. We defend the big blind with queen 10 offsuit. We check to the aggressor and he bet 75 into $40. When recreational players chooses this overbet size, they are not f***ing around. They have a good hand. Although we hit a middle pair here, we have to fold because his range is so strong. I may even consider folding some king X with weak kicker in this case because overbet from recreational players are never a bluff. We move to the 5-5-10 table, and in this hand, small blinds open to $40. A professional in the middle blind 3-bet to 120. We look down at king, queen suited on the big blind, and I think it's a pretty good chance to put in a 4-bet. Because I think the 3-bet range of this professional in this configuration is pretty wide. He can 3-bet hands like pocket pairs, ace jack, ace 10, king jack, but when he faces a 4-bet, he can only continue with the strongest hand of his 3-betting range to play a 4-bet pot OOP with us. So we put in a 4-bet to $300 and they all fold. Moving on to the next hand, and we open to $40 in a hijack with my 2 queens. Middle blind calls and we heads up to a flop of 8-8-5 with 2 diamonds. Feeling check, I bet 45 into 90 and he calls. Turns a 6 of club. I think on this double flush draw board, he can have a lot of inelastic hands like pocket 10s, pocket 9s, ace high flush draws, and a lot of combo draws. So I would like to big bet this turn. I bet $240 into 180, but unfortunate for us, he fold.
It's coaching time.
This hand made me want to throw my computer out the window.
That's sad. We got a computer.
Yeah. Here's why. What's their range when they call on these top card paired flops? On the flop.
They got no trips.
Just tell me the range
flush
getting to the
draws,
turn.
single
Yeah.
pair type hand.
What are the single pair type hands?
Like pocket 6s, pocket 7s.
Maybe like 4s or 3s?
Yeah. Those are in there too.
Deuces. We're targeting kind of a range that's like flush draws, maybe pocket 7s, 4s, 3s, 5x type hands. Do flush draws become more elastic or more inelastic when the board is paired?
Elastic.
Yeah, they're more elastic. So even if they have like ace X of diamonds when the board is paired, are they going to call an overbet here?
No.
I think the majority of the range is going to be pretty weak or pretty strong. When the board is paired, it gives them a tough decision, and recreational players don't like to make tough decisions.
Yes, sir. I agree on that.
Yeah. We're just kind of value owning ourselves when we choose the size on the turn. On these top card paired flops, I like just small size on the turn.
Next hand here, a recreational player opened to 20 in a low jack with 3-bet to $80 on the button with king jack offsuit. My strategy is to always 3-bet recreational players in position because we want to play pots heads up with them. He calls and we're heads up to a flop of ace X deuce rainbow. Normally in a 3-bet pot in position, I'm just gonna range bet small, but I would like to deviate here because I don't think this player is folding his ace X even if we go bad, putting all the money in on the river. So I would like to check back this flop to get more info from his turn action. Turns a 9 of club. He checked to us again. What that means? That means he doesn't have an ace. So the green light's on. I like to overbet the turn, putting $300 to get rid of his whole range, and we get it through. But I think there may be a better line with our hand on the turn. We may squeeze a little bit more extra value. We can small bet the turn, targeting him to continue with hands like 9x, pocket 10s, and then push them all off on the river. So when you find a good line, always ask yourself if there is a better line. In this hand, if he limps, we ISO the $60 in the cutoff with ace-king offsuit. If he calls and we heads up to the flop of king 4 deuce with 2 spade. If he check, in a single raise pot, I'm just gonna range bet small. I bet $60 into 135 and he check raises to $160. And what is range? I think he may find some raise with king queen, king jack, or some flush draws. But at the same time, as a limp in early position, he has a lot of pocket pairs like pocket deuces, pocket 3s, pocket 4s that hit a set on this flop. So I elect to call here once and see what he does on the turn. Turns a 5 of club, and now he bet $325 into 455. Alright, I don't think he's still betting his king x with this size. The size is big, is significant to this game, so I believe his range is just set. I made the discipline fold here. Some people may say, oh god, you have top pair, top kicker, why would you fold here? They are under check raise on the flop, and at the same time he follows with a big bet on the turn, and our ace king is not good here, and I think this kind of fold will save us a lot of money in long term. Alright, next hand here, we open the $40 in low jack with queen 10 suited. Big blind calls and we heads up to the flop of king 10 deuce with 2 spades. Big blind check to us, single raise pot in position, pre-flop raiser. I'm just gonna range bet small. I bet $30 into 85 and he calls. Turns a 4 of spade, completing the front door flush. Big blind check to us again. I think our hand here is showdown value and I like to check back. River's another king of heart. He checked to us again, so what is range? He got no flush, he got no king, so he probably have some misdraws or some showdown value hands like 10x, pocket 9s, pocket 8s, pocket 6s. So I would really want to take this back and put another small bet on the river targeting that portion of range, but in game I'm not that focused. I like to check back, we table our hand and he shows ace jack offsuit. We win. So next hand here, the straddle's on. We open the $60 on the cutoff with ace 10 offsuit. Big blind straddle come along and we have 3 ways to a flop of king 7 for rainbow. They check to us. In a multi-way pot, I would just be betting my strong hands and strong draws. So I check it back and turns a 10 of diamond. Big blind now lists $80 into 185. Straddle calls, so what are their range? I think when big blinds lead in a multi-way pot first to act, his range is pretty strong. He can have king x, some 2 pairs like king 10, pocket 7s, pocket 4s. And for the straddle, he can also have king x, 10x, or some draws like queen jack or 6-5. So actually, I think folding here right away is the best play, but in game I made the call hoping the big blind still have some 10x like queen 10, jack 10, betting the flop because he think no one has a king. And we go to the river, which is a jack of diamond. Big blind now bet $200 into 425. Straddle calls again, so we only have a pair of 10s here. Is never good on this action. We fold, and the straddle fast roll and show pocket 4s. Oh, alright, the second last hand of the session, and I'm gonna show you the most powerful strategy in live poker. Low jack limps, we ISO the $60 in the hijack with pocket 10s. Low jack calls and we heads up to a flop of king 9-7 rainbow. Low jack check to us. I bet $50 into 135 and he calls. Turns an ace of heart. He checked to us again, so what is range? I think he can have draws like queen jack, jack 10, 7, and he can also have king X. So our hand here is a showdown value. I like to check back and see what he does on the river. River's a 4 of spade, and now low jack lists $75 into 235. So listen, after we check back the turn, if our opponents choose a big size on the river, they usually have it. But when they choose this kind of small size after we checking back the turn, they are always bluffing. So we make the call, he says we're good, and we are happy to take this one home. And this is the last hand of the session. Hijack and the button limb. We ISO to $105 in the small blind with king jack offsuit. Hijack fold and button call all in about $90 behind. So we are heads up, all in. Flop comes ace queen 6. Come on dealer, give us a 10. Turns an 8 of diamond and rivers a king of heart. We hit the second pair, but the button tables ace 10 offsuit, and we lose the final hand of this session. Hey guys, for this session I lost 1700 in 8 hours. It has been my 4th consecutive losing session, so it's a bit frustrating to be honest. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep doing my things and hope it will get better. Marco will put my total result here. Thank you, Marco. Have a good night, guys. Big pot alert. In the first and on the third session, and we're playing 5-5 at Hustler. EP Leams, we ISO to $40 in the cutoff with ace 10 offsuit. Big blind and EP come along, and we have 3 ways to flop off, you know what? 10, 10, 9 rainbow. Look at the cutie pie. Big blind and EP check, we bet $40 into 120. Big blind folds, and now EP raised to $200. So what is range? I don't think this player is raising his draws here, so he either have a 10 or he have a bolt, but we have the best kicker with our trips here. If he have a bolt, so be it. So I ask myself, would a 10 fold if we shove here? The answer is no, so I rip it in, putting $955 into the pot. He snap call, and we are heads up to the turn, which comes a 9 of spade. Oh well, we are chopping with a 10 now. River's a 3 of club, we show our hand, and he tables queen 10 offsuit. We ended up chopping this one, but what a start for us. Let's move on to the next hand. We open to $30 in a cutoff with queen 10 offsuit. Big blind calls, and we're heads up to a flop of queen 9 8 with 2 clubs. Big blind check, single raise pot in position. I bet $30 into 60, and he calls. Turns a king of heart. So what is range? He has many one pair type hands like queen X, 9X, and he also have a bunch of draws, flush draws, and straight draws. So on this turn, queen 10 is kind of showdown value to me, so I like to check back and evaluate the river. River is a 5 of heart. Big blind check again, and now I would like to go for a value bet targeting hands like 9x or 8x. So how much would I bet to fold out a 9? Probably about $80 to $100, so I size down to $40, but unfortunately he fold. Next hand here, low jack leams, cutoff ISO to $20 and small blind calls. We look down at king 8 of heart on the small blind. I think it's a pretty decent hand to play a multiway pot, so we call, low jack call 2, and we have 4 ways to a flop of king 10 7 with 2 diamonds. We all check, and it goes check through. Turns a 5 of club. Small blind now lists $40 into 75. I think it can have some strong draws like queen jack of diamond, 9 8 of diamond, some king X, and we have the top pair here, so I put in a call, low jack and cut off, get out of the way, and we heads up to the river, which comes another 10 of club. Small blind now bet $100 into 155. Actually, I don't think he will still continue to bet his king, but I still think he has a lot of draw missed, like queen jack, 9 8, some flush draws, so I put in a call, but this time we see the bad news. He had queen 10 of diamond. Blunder alert. In this hand, we open to $30 in the low jack with king queen of hearts. Hijack calls, and we're heads up to a flop of king 6 5 rainbow. Normally in a single raise pot out of position, I'm just checking my range, but I think this board is kind of dry and this player is not going to overstep, so I would take the bet now. I bet $30 into 65 and he calls. Turns another king of club, and this is where here, I make the blunder. I bet 175 into 125. Actually, this big size can only target King X to continue, or here's a very station player, but if we bet small on the turn, what will happen? His draws will continue, his one pair type hand may still call, and his King X will just raise and put in the money for us. So I think the small size is the best option here. I hate my size and he hates the size too. He finds the fold and we are not happy to our decision on this hand. And in this hand, low jack limps, we ISO to $40 in a cutoff with ace king offsuit. Big blind low jack come along and we are 3 ways to a flop of ace 6 5 with 2 hearts. Big blind and low jack check. I bet $75 into 120 and they both call. Turns a 9 of spade, they check to us again. Although the obvious straight draw completes, I think there is still a lot of inelastic hands that I can target. Hands like a6, flush draws. So I like to bet 275 into 345. If we face a check raise here, we can just fold our hand because their check raise are never bluffing. But unfortunately, they all fold and we win this pot. Next hand here, we are opening to $25 in early position with king queen offsuit. Button calls, we're heads up to a flop of queen 8-4 with 2 hearts. I'm just gonna ring check when I think they overstep on this board. I check and he check back. Turns a 5 off diamond. We check again and he bet $25 into 55. So what is range? I think he can have one pair type hand or flush draws or even combo draws here. So I put in a big boy check raise to $225 because I think his strong draws are never folding to our size. Unfortunately, he finds a fold, but I'm happy that I can find that check on the turn, allows him to bet with draws, air, or one pair type hand. Big pot alert. So in this hand, cutoff open to $25 and we look down at ace king offsuit in the big blind. We make it to 150 and cut off all in for $700 effective. What is range here? I don't think he's ripping in with aces or kings, so he either have a big pairs like queens, jacks, or we have the same hand. I make the call and we're heads up to the flop, which comes 10-7-5. I need some help, dealer. Turns a jack off spade. Come on, dealer, give us that queen and rivers a bang. A queen off spade. We hit the nut straight, but there are 4 spades out there. We don't have any spade. We table our hand and cut off table's pocket queens. He hit the top set on the river, but we hit our straight. And I think it's the sweetest way to win a flip, and we are happy to take this 1.4k pot down. Big pot alert again. In this hand, UTG limps, we ISO to $30 in low jack with ace queen off spade. Button and UTG come along and we're 3 ways to a flop of jack 6-6 with 2 spades. Under the gun check. In a multi-way pot, I'll just bet my strong hands and strong draws. We have enough flush draw here, so I bet $30 into 95. Button folds, and now UTG raised to $80. What is range? I think it can be raising hands like jack X or trips of 6s, but we have the nut flush draw here. We are not going anywhere and we call. Turns a bang, a 9 of spade. We hit the nut flush and now UTG check, and now I would choose the bigger size that I think a 6 would call. I bet pot $250 and surprisingly UTG moves all in for $700. To be honest, I didn't expect that, but we have the nut flush. We call, rivers a king off heart, and he tables 7-6 offsuit. He just shoved the turn with his trips when the flush get there on the turn. Oh my god. I'd appreciate that a lot, and we are happy to take down this $1,600 pot. And in this hand, EP opened to $25 with 3-bet in a cutoff with ace 10 off heart. Button cold call, EP come along, and we're 3 ways to a flop of 10-8-3 with 2 clubs. EP check. In a multi-way pot, I'm just betting my strong hands and strong draws. I bet $80 into 245, and now surprisingly, button moves all in for about $480. EP fold, action on us, so what is range? When player cold call a 3-bet on pre-flop, they just have hands like pocket 9s, pocket 10s, pocket jacks, pocket queens, but at the same time he has hands like ace queen of club, ace king of club. Would he be shoving ace queen and ace king in position? Actually, I don't think so. I think it's an easy call for most of the player, especially when they're in position with a nut flush draw. So I think his range is heavily weighted to overpair, and we start talking to him to try to get some info.
Have a hand, man. Is it good?
You play if you want to.
You shake your head, you means no good?
You should definitely fold.
I should definitely fold.
I'm playing pretty tight all day.
Why would you say that?
Okay, he's very calm. Our hand is just not good here, and we fold. Alright, next hand here, we open to $25 on a cutoff with ace king offsuit. Big blind calls and we're heads up to a flop of ace 8-7 rainbow. Big blind check in a single raise pot in position on ace high flop. My strategy is to overbet or check. I bet $75 into 50 and he calls. Turns another 7 of club. He check again. Yes, he may hit some trips with his turn, but I don't want him to leave any money on the table when feeling has ace X, as ace X will call a big bet on the turn and we will try to play all the money with him on the river. So I bet $300 into 200, but unfortunately he finds the fold. And in this hand, we open to $25 in early position with ace king of club. Hijack button and big blind come along and we are forwards to a flop of ace 8-5 with 2 hearts. Big blind check in a single raise pot, multiple players behind us. I'm just checking my range. We check and it goes check through. Turns a 3 of spade. Big blind check again. I would like to bet here to charge some value from flush draws and straight draws. I bet $75 into 100. I think this size is pretty bad because I should have overbet the turn because they will find some check with ace X on the flop because it's a multiway and the draws are calling a big size also. And as played, hijack and button call, big blind get out of the way and we are 3 ways to a river which comes a 10 of heart. The front door flush get there, we check, hijack check, and now buttons bet $300 into 325. Actions on us. I don't think this player is bluffing with this size. I think he hit his flush on the river, so we fold our ace king. Next hand here, we are on the button and we look down at the worst hand in poker, pocket aces. We open at $25, small blind calls, and now big blind 3-bet to 75. Interesting thing here is small blind and big blind only have like $300 effective. So I don't really want to put in a 4-bet here. I like to call, inviting the small blind to the party, but he doesn't seem to like joining. He fold and we are heads up with the big blind to a flop which comes ace jack 7. Look at that cutie pie. And now big blind's all in about $225 into 170. We have the top set, of course we're snapping it off. Turns a queen of spade, rivers another queen of heart. We have the top full house, we table our hand, and he shows us king queen offsuit. Luckily we didn't put in the 4-bet pre-flop. In the next hand, we open to $25 on the button with king jack of diamonds. Big blind calls and we're heads up to a flop of 6-4-4 rainbow. Big blind check, I bet 25 into 50 and he calls. Turns a jack of club. Big blind check again. I don't think he's 6-6 and pocket pairs like pocket 7s, pocket 8s is folding to a small bet here. So I bet $35 into 100 and he calls. Rivers a deuce of spade. Big blind check. Now I want to target his wicked jack X to call, and I bet pot $170, but unfortunately he folds. Next hand here, and we're playing double board PLO bump pot. We have 8-7-7-4 double suited. Top board comes ace 8-8 and the bottom board is 7-6 deuce. We have the trips on top board and we hit the top set on the bottom. Pretty good flop for us. We checked the cutoff who bet 115. Actions on us, I don't know whether should we repot here, but anyway we call, big blind come along and we have 3 ways to a turn which comes a 6 of diamond on top and the beautiful 7 of club on bottom. We have to quad the absolute nuts on the bottom board. Big blind check, cutoff bets pot. With the stone cold nuts on the bottom board, we call. big blind folds and we're heads up to a river which comes a 3 of spade on board 1 and a 3 of heart on board 2. Cut off all in about $900 effective. We call and he tables king 10 h6. He have a full house on the top board and we are chopping this pot up eventually. Second last hand of the session, the straddle's on. Sammy the rig open to $35 on the button. We look down at 10-8 of spades on the straddle and we call. Heads up to a flop which comes ace-ace deals with 2 spades. We check to him and he bet $25 into 75. I think he's just range betting here a lot of the time, so I would like to do a check raise here. We can fold out a lot of better hands like king high, queen high, jack high, whatever you name it, and if he continue with a pair or ace-x here, we still got plenty of outs, so we check raise to 75 and he surrender. Alright, the last hand of the session, the straddle's still on. We opened at $40 in early position with pocket 8. Cut off, small blind, big blind, and straddle all come along, and we are 5 ways to a family pot, which comes queen h3 with 2 diamonds. Look at that cutie pie. Actions check to us. In a multiway pot, I'm just betting my strong hands and strong draws, so I bet $100 into 195. Only the small blind calls and we're heads up to the turn, which comes a king of spade. Small blind check here. I think the best play here is to bet small because a queen would still call a small size, and if he hit a 2 pair on the turn, he would raise and put in the money for us. But in game, maybe I'm a little bit tired. I chose a big size. I bet $500 into 400, and of course he fold. So remember, when we have a big hand, doesn't mean we need to bet big. It all depends on their range. Thanks God, we're finally winning. Today I played 8 hours and 30 minutes and we are up 1800s. So hope things are getting better, and yeah, let's keep grinding and believing in what we are doing. My total result will be up here. Thank you guys. Stay tuned to the next one.